Have you ever gotten a raise and felt richer for about 2 weeks? Then somehow the feeling faded. The money was still coming in, but it didn't feel like progress anymore. It just felt like maintenance. Here's the strange part. Your brain doesn't measure wealth by how much you earn. It measures wealth by how much better things feel than they did before. And the moment things stop feeling better, your brain quietly resets the bar and starts chasing the next raise, the next title, the next milestone, just to feel that same lift again. This is exactly why so many hard-working people spend 20 years climbing and end up with an impressive resume and almost nothing to show for it financially. The biggest threat to your wealth was never a lack of income. It was mistaking the feeling of progress for the fact of it. This is the story of two people who started in the exact same place, and why only one of them noticed the difference in time.
Henry was 26 when he got his first real offer. Marketing coordinator, mid-sized firm, $62,000 a year. He remembers calling his mum from the parking lot. He remembers thinking, this is it. This is where it starts. What he didn't know yet was that it wasn't the start of wealth. It was the start of a very convincing pattern, one that would follow him for the next decade. If you've ever opened your banking app the day after payday and felt that small flicker of relief, followed by a strange emptiness a few days later, you already understand Henry. You budget, you work hard, you don't feel reckless, and yet somehow the gap between what you earn and what you keep never seems to widen. It's not laziness, it's not bad math, it's something quieter, something that happens before you ever open a spreadsheet.
Here's what's actually happening beneath the surface. Every time your income rises, your brain performs a silent recalibration. Researchers call it hedonic adaptation, the tendency for a new income level to feel normal within a matter of weeks. What used to feel like a luxury becomes a baseline. What used to feel like enough now feels like the minimum. This isn't a character flaw, it's a survival mechanism, built for a world where more resources always meant more safety. But in a modern economy, that same mechanism quietly converts every dollar of progress into a new definition of necessary, before you've had a chance to decide if it should be. Henry's raises came steadily. 62,000 became 70. 70 became 85. By 31, he was clearing 6 figures, managing a small team, respected at work. Each raise came with a small, reasonable upgrade. A better apartment, because the commute was brutal and he'd earned some comfort. A newer car, because the old one was starting to feel like a symbol of where he used to be. Nicer dinners with his team, because that's just what people at his level did. None of it was reckless. That's what made it so easy to miss. Each decision on its own was completely defensible. Henry wasn't buying happiness, he was buying relief from the feeling of falling behind himself. By the time he hit 34, his income had nearly doubled from where he started. His savings account had grown by less than $4,000. He wasn't failing, he was doing exactly what the feeling of progress told him to do. This is where the pattern becomes clear. Every income increase creates 2 competing signals. One says, you now have more room. The other says, you now deserve more comfort. Most people never consciously choose between these 2 signals. The second one simply wins by default because it's immediate, and the first one is abstract. Add in social comparison, watching peers upgrade their lives at the same pace, and the pull becomes almost invisible. You're not comparing yourself to where you started, You're comparing yourself to where everyone around you currently is, and that comparison resets every single year. This is lifestyle adaptation, not one bad decision, 1,000 reasonable ones, each one erasing the raise that came before it.
Amanda started at the same company, the same year, in a similar role. She wasn't disciplined in any dramatic way. She still upgraded her apartment eventually. She still went on nice trips. But Amanda had one habit that made the difference, and it wasn't a budget spreadsheet. Every time she got a raise, she waited 30 days before making any lifestyle change tied to it. Not to deprive herself, just to let the initial emotional spike fade, so she could see what she actually wanted to do with the money once the excitement wore off. Sometimes she still upgraded something, but more often she noticed the urgent desire had quietly disappeared on its own, and she moved a portion of that raise into an account she didn't check often enough to be tempted by it. It wasn't willpower. It was a 30-day delay that let her brain's temporary excitement pass before her spending caught up to it.
Here's a question worth sitting with. If your income had frozen completely 5 years ago, no raises, no promotions, same exact paycheck, would your life today look any different? For most people, the honest answer is barely. The upgrades absorbed the raises almost as fast as they arrived. The income changed, the gap didn't. 10 years in, Henry and Amanda's paychecks weren't far apart, but their lives had quietly diverged. Henry was still working the same hours, still needing every paycheck to arrive on time, still one unexpected expense away from real stress. He'd built an impressive title. He hadn't built any room to breathe. Amanda had built something less visible, but far more valuable: options. When her company went through layoffs that year, Henry spent 3 anxious months job searching, taking the first offer that came close to his old salary. Amanda took the layoff as a signal to finally leave a job she'd outgrown, and gave herself 4 unhurried months to find the right one, because she wasn't choosing out of panic. Same income history, completely different amount of freedom. This isn't a story about luxury. It's a story about what a decade of small, unexamined decisions quietly builds or quietly costs.
Here's the one shift worth taking with you. The next time your income increases, even slightly, don't ask, "What can I afford now?" Ask a different question. What did I actually need last month, before this raise existed? That question alone creates a pause. And in that pause is the only real difference between a career that grows and wealth that grows with it. As the saying goes on Wealthridge, income creates opportunity. Habits determine the outcome. Before you go, take a moment and ask yourself honestly, if your paycheck never changed again, would your life actually look any different 5 years from now? Sit with that answer. It might tell you more than any raise ever could. If you enjoy real money stories and practical wealth-building lessons, subscribe to Wealthridge. Learn from the stories, apply the lessons, build your wealth.